The Galactic Combat Academy Hall was bigger than any city on Earth. Its ceiling was so high it disappeared into light. Flags from dozens of worlds floated in the air. The floor was made of metal strong enough to hold mountains. Thousands of cadets stood in perfect lines. Some were giants of living stone. Some glowed like fire trapped in glass. Some had claws, wings, or metal bodies built for war. This was the best academy in the galaxy. And today was ranking day. A massive screen lit up above the hall. One by one, names appeared. Cheers erupted when top warriors were announced. Powerful species roared in pride. Instructors nodded in approval. Then the list reached the bottom. The final name flashed in red. Evan Cole, species, human, rank, last. For 1 second, there was silence. Then laughter exploded across the hall, harsh, loud, cruel. Aliens pointed. Some bent forward, holding their sides. Others made sounds that meant shame in their languages. A human, last place, again. Whispers moved through the instructor line. Why was Earth even invited? They break too easily. Low-gravity world, weak bones, soft species. Evan Cole stood alone in the human section. No armor enhancements, no natural weapons, no glowing energy. Just a tall, lean human with short, dark hair and calm eyes. He did not look angry. He did not look scared. He simply stood still. The screen kept glowing red above him, like a mark of failure burned into the air. One alien cadet shouted, "Careful, human, don't fall over. One gravity spike might crush you." More laughter. Another said, "How do you fight wars when your planet barely tries to kill you?" They mocked Earth's gravity. They mocked human bones. They mocked his size. Evan said nothing. He had heard it all before. The laughter finally faded when the head instructor stepped forward. The instructor was ancient, tall. His body carried scars from wars older than most civilizations. His voice rolled across the hall. "Ranking is complete," he said. The alien straightened, still smiling. "However," the instructor continued, "there is one final demonstration." The lights dimmed. The floor at the center of the hall split open. A platform rose slowly from below. On it rested a massive hammer. It was dark metal, covered in old symbols. The air around it bent, like space itself was heavy. Many cadets stopped breathing. "The Hammer of Kar-Tak," the instructor said. "Forged on a death world, sealed by gravity locks. No cadet in the entire history of this academy has ever lifted it." Excited whispers spread. This test was legendary. But then the instructor added something else. "This test is not required for the lowest-ranked cadet." More laughter. All eyes turned to Evan. He remained still. Then slowly, Evan stepped forward. One step, then another. The laughter died instantly. The hall went silent. Every species watched as the last-ranked human walked toward the impossible hammer. And for the first time that day, no one was laughing anymore.
The hammer rested at the center of the hall. It was larger than any normal weapon. Its head was wide and dark, covered in old carved marks. The handle was thick, made for hands far bigger than a human's. The platform beneath it was crushed inward, as if the metal itself had given up. The air around the hammer looked wrong. It bent. Light curved slightly, like the space around it was heavy. This was no normal weapon. The head instructor raised one claw. "First challenger," he said. A massive four-armed war beast stepped forward. His muscles rolled like stone. His species was known across the galaxy for raw strength. He grabbed the hammer. The moment he pulled, the gravity field flared. The floor shook. The war beast roared and pulled harder. Nothing. The hammer did not move. With a final growl, the gravity slammed him to one knee. The platform cracked deeper. Medical drones rushed in. The instructors nodded, expected. Next came a cyber-enhanced champion, metal limbs, reinforced spine, power cores glowing in his chest. He activated his systems and lifted. The gravity surged. His legs bent. Alarm screamed. Then his power systems shut down, and he collapsed flat on the floor. Still, the hammer did not move. Again, the instructor smiled. Then came a gravity-born titan, a being evolved inside crushing pressure. Gravity was his natural element. If anyone could lift it, it should be him. He placed both massive hands on the handle. For a moment, the hammer trembled. Hope flashed through the crowd. Then the gravity increased again. The titan's fingers slipped. He was forced back, breathing hard. Silence filled the hall. No one had succeeded. No one ever did. The head instructor looked at the display. His eyes paused. Then he spoke the name. Evan Cole, human. A ripple of laughter spread again. "This should be quick," someone whispered. Evan walked forward. No armor boost, no power systems, just fabric boots and bare hands. As he stepped onto the platform, small sensors unfolded around him. Lights blinked, data streamed. The gravity field reacted, automatically, because the hammer did not test muscle, it tested intent. Several instructors leaned forward. The gravity around Evan doubled, then tripled. The floor groaned. Some aliens turned away. They did not want to see a human crushed. Evan reached out and wrapped both hands around the handle. The metal was cold, heavy. The gravity slammed down. His knees bent slightly. Cracks spread beneath his boots. Still, Evan did not let go. His jaw tightened. His arms shook. The gravity increased again. Warning lights flashed red. "Instructor!" someone shouted. "His body will fail!" But Evan tightened his grip. He did not scream. He did not beg. He breathed in, slow, controlled. His boots dug deeper into the floor. Stone-skinned cadets stared. Energy beings went silent. For the first time, doubt crept into the room. The hammer did not move, but neither did Evan. And that alone was something no one had ever seen before.
The hammer did not move, not even a little. The gravity field around it suddenly surged, once, twice. Then it tripled. The air slammed downward like an invisible wall. Warning alarms screamed across the hall. Red lights flashed on every screen. "Increase detected. Structural failure incoming. Cadet must release immediately." Instructors shouted orders. "Human, let go! You will be crushed! This is not a test anymore!" Evan heard them, but he did not release the hammer. His arms trembled violently. His shoulders burned. His lungs felt heavy, like each breath weighed tons. The gravity pressed into his bones. It tried to force him down. But Evan stayed standing. The floor beneath him shattered another inch. A deep crack ran across the platform. The narration shifts. Because this moment was not about Evan alone. It was about humans. Humans evolved on a world that never showed mercy. Earth's gravity pulled on them from the moment they were born. It never stopped. Every step was resistance. Every movement was effort. Human muscles did not grow for power alone. They grew to endure pain. Human bones were not unbreakable. They broke, then healed, and when they healed, they came back stronger. Humans learned to live under pressure, to work while tired, to stand while hurting, to move when their bodies begged them to stop. The gravity around the hammer increased again. Evan's knees bent lower. Blood ran from his nose, but his hands stayed locked. He closed his eyes, and he exhaled, slow, deep, like he had done 1,000 times before. Training, pain, failure, recovery, again and again. Evan pulled. At first, nothing happened. Then, the hammer shifted, just a fraction. Gasps echoed through the hall. Instructors froze. Sensors spiked wildly. "That's impossible," someone whispered. Evan pulled again. The hammer rose another inch. His arms shook like they might tear apart, but he kept lifting. The gravity lock screamed. Symbols on the hammer lit up, glowing with ancient light. The gravity field flickered, then cracked. With a deep, thunder-like sound, the gravity locks failed. The hammer rose fully from the platform. The air snapped back to normal. The crushing pressure vanished. Evan stood there, breathing hard, holding the hammer in both hands. Silence filled the arena. No cheers, no laughter, only shock. The instructors stared. The hammer was no longer fighting him. It was responding. The ancient symbols changed. They aligned. The weapon was not testing strength anymore. It was recognizing something else. Endurance, will, a species that survived a world that never gave anything for free. Evan lowered the hammer slowly. The platform was destroyed. The rankings board glitched. For the first time in Academy history, the system did not know what to display, because the lowest-ranked cadet had just done the impossible, and the galaxy had just learned something dangerous about humans.
The moment Evan lifted the hammer, something ancient awakened. The symbols carved into the dark metal began to glow, soft at first, then brighter. Lines of light moved across the hammer's surface, forming patterns older than the Academy itself. A deep sound rolled through the hall, not loud, but heavy. The Academy's lights flickered. Screens froze. For half a second, every system shut down. Power, gravity controls, sensors, everything went dark. Then the systems came back online. The hall was still standing, but the silence was different now. Several instructors realized they were kneeling. They had not chosen to. Their bodies had reacted on instinct, as if something far older than rank or rules had passed judgment. Some tried to stand and failed. Others stayed frozen, eyes wide. The ranking board above the hall glitched. The list scrambled. Names flashed and vanished. At the bottom, one name remained: Evan Cole, human, rank, last. But next to it, a warning symbol appeared. Status, undefined. The system did not know where to place him. It had never seen this outcome. Cadets stared in silence. The laughter from earlier felt distant, wrong. No one mocked now. Even the strongest warriors avoided looking at Evan directly. The hammer's glow slowly faded. The ancient light dimmed, but the feeling remained. Evan stood still, breathing hard. He did not raise the weapon. He did not celebrate. He simply waited. The head instructor stepped forward. His voice was no longer loud. It was quiet, careful. "That hammer," he said slowly, "was never meant for the strongest species." The hall leaned in. "It was forged for something else," the instructor continued. "For those born on worlds that try to kill them every day. For those who survive pressure without breaking. For those who fall and stand again." He turned his gaze to Evan. "Impossible worlds create impossible people." Evan lowered the hammer. When it touched the platform, the sound echoed across the hall, a deep, heavy boom like a war drum. The echo rolled through metal and stone. Every cadet felt it in their chest. That sound marked an ending and a beginning. Medical drones hovered nearby, unsure if they were still needed. No one spoke. The academy had trained warriors for centuries, but it had never seen this. The lowest-ranked cadet stood at the center of the hall, uninjured, unbowed, unchanged, yet everything around him had shifted. The ranking board remained frozen. Instructors exchanged silent looks. This moment would be recorded, studied, argued over. But one truth was already clear. The galaxy had misunderstood humans, not because humans were the strongest, but because they were shaped by a world that never allowed weakness. And now the silence in the arena said what words could not. Something had awakened, and it was human. The rankings did not return. Not that day, not the next. The board above the academy hall stayed dark, while instructors argued behind closed doors. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Combat Academy had no final list. The system had failed, or maybe it had learned. Days later, a message spread across the academy. All ranking data would be erased. From now on, testing would change. Strength alone was no longer enough. Endurance, recovery, will, these would matter. Humans were removed from the bottom tier. They were no longer grouped as low-threat species. Across the academy, instructors watched human cadets more closely, not with laughter, with caution. Evan Cole returned to training. No special armor, no title, no praise. Other cadets made space when he passed. Some nodded in respect, others looked away. No one joked anymore. Footage of the hammer test was classified, but stories leaked. Instructors spoke quietly on secure channels. Cadets whispered in training halls. A human lifted the impossible hammer. A human broke the system. Soon, the story reached beyond the academy, to military councils, to trade worlds, to species that had never taken Earth seriously. The story changed as it traveled. Some said the hammer chose him. Some said humans were immune to gravity. Others said Earth was a hidden death world. The truth was simpler. Humans survived pressure. Across the galaxy, a quiet rule began to spread. It was never announced. It was never written in law, but every experienced commander learned it. Do not judge a species by size. Do not mock a world you could not survive. And never laugh at humans before the test is over. Because humans did not shine at the start. They endured. They learned. They adapted. On worlds of fire, stone, and endless pressure, that mattered. Back at the academy, the hammer of Kartok was sealed away again. But this time, the records were changed. Not unliftable, not ceremonial. The new record read, awaiting the right wielder. Evan never touched it again. He did not need to. The lesson was already learned. The academy did not fear humans, but it respected them. And in the wider galaxy, something shifted. Some weapons were not meant for the strongest arms. They were waiting for the strongest will. Some species were not built to dominate from the beginning. They were built to survive the impossible. And when the galaxy finally understood that, it stopped laughing. Because humans had never been weak. They had simply been waiting for the wait to matter.